These chunky knit blankets have been all the rage for a few years now, so I thought I would try my hand at knitting my own. So in this video we're going to go through the process that I went through to do this. I started out by doing the technique that I've seen them do online, hand knitting, where you start out with a slip knot with this chunky yarn. I got this chunky yarn at Michael's. So I start with this slip knot, I just kind of make a loop and then take your working yarn, make another loop and pull up through and pull it to tighten it up, and you've got a slip knot. With this slip knot then you do kind of a crochet chain. You put your fingers through the loop, you grab the yarn and you pull up another loop through, and then you put your fingers through that loop and you grab the yarn and pull another loop through, and you just keep doing this, making a chain of loops until your chain is as long as what you want your blanket to be wide. This will create the width of the blanket. Your last loop in your chain, you pull it through and flip it up so that it's facing vertically. Then you take your working yarn and pull up a loop through each of the previous loops in your chain, and you place them all facing up, as you see here. Now, I was already having a problem with this when I started it. It was very easy for the loops to slide back out as you were pulling another one up through. So I kind of struggled a bit with it. Once you have all of your loops in that row, then you start wherever you stopped and do another loop through. Now, I struggled with this greatly. I really did not like how this turned out. It was too easy to drop stitches. The yarn came out too quickly, and the gauge and tension were off. It was hard to keep the same gauge and tension through the entire project. So I decided to try a different approach. I decided to do hand crocheting, which I saw in another tutorial video. With this, basically you do the same chain that you did with the hand knitting, but instead of just pulling up a single loop, you pull up a loop, then put your fingers through two loops and pull another loop through, and then keep that same loop on your finger, pull up another loop, and then pull your yarn through both of those loops. You're basically doing a single crochet stitch here with your hands instead of with a crochet hook. Once you make it to the end, you just go back and turn your work and start from the same end and work down the other side again. But I did not like how this looked at all. It was very messy and loose, and I did not care for that look. So the issues with this were that it had the same gauge and tension issues. It was too hard to keep all the same tension through the whole thing. And it used too much yarn. Crocheting takes about 3 times more yarn than knitting does. So I decided I was going to knit it with some knitting needles. I wanted it to be a stockinette look, and a problem with stockinette is that it tends to roll. To prevent this, you can go up a few sizes in your needles, which I did. I started with size 19. The yarn recommended 15, so I went up a few sizes to make it a little bit bigger, and that would make your fabric looser, and it's supposed to prevent it from rolling. But you see here, after knitting a few rows, it was rolling up quite a bit, and I wanted the blanket to lay flat. So I decided to go up a few more sizes, and I got these needles. This is a size 50, and it is a circular needle, so it has the cable on it to accommodate all your stitches. And that's what I decided to use. I was just going to knit, and here's the pattern. You cast on 50 stitches. Row 1 is knit all the stitches, row 2 is knit 1, purl all the stitches, and then knit the final stitch. And you just repeat those rows back and forth until it's as long as you need it to be. It took 17 skeins of yarn total for this project, and it took me about 8 hours to finish a blanket, which, if you know anything about knitting a blanket, that's a fraction of the time it normally takes to knit something. So using the big needles and the chunky yarn really seemed to make a difference. When I was done, I used a crochet hook to weave the ends in because I did not have a darning needle that would actually accommodate the size of the yarn. And here you go. Here's the final product.